Today we're going to be talking about graphing the exponential functions, and we'll state their domain and range. Little spoiler for you, the domain is going to be very basic. The domain of an exponential function is always all real numbers. Range, however, is a limit, and we'll talk about why that is. We're going to start by writing out our formula that we're going to be using most of the day. A times b to the x power. Remember, a is the value, the starting value, or it's the value where x is equal to 0. And then our b value is going to be our rate of change. How much is it multiplying every time, the ratio, if we were talking about a sequence. All right, we've got some examples that we're going to look through. This is a Cami, so you'll be writing on these, so make sure you stay in line with us there. So the first thing we're going to look at is this one, a very basic one. This is a double formula. As you can see here, y equals 2x. You can create a table if you want to graph these things right off the bat here. Plugging in 0, 1, 2, 3. First thing, since we do not have, again, you got to recognize whether it's the base or the A1. So in this case, the entire formula is actually 1 times 2 to the x, because the A value here is 1. The base is 2. So anytime we have our A value, what that will always be is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So it's going to look like this. So this is an exponential growth because that base of 2 is greater than 1. So this is an exponential growth. This is one that's going to, when we use the description of the airplane thing, it's going to start on our line here and then it's going to take off. We know that in this case it's going to go through 1, 1. Just like I'm trying to draw there. Now, we can check this by plugging in this in, because when I plug in the value 0 for x, because there's our formula, 2 to the 0 power is in fact 1. When I move to the 2 to the 1 power, plugging in 1, 2 to the 1 power is 2. So the ordered pair would be 1, 2. What I want you to recognize as we do these is the value of the y is always going to double. So you can graph these things without tables. I'll show you how to do that on a later one, but we'll do it with the table for right now. So we have 2 to the 2nd power. That would be 4. So the ordered pair would be 2, 4, which would put us here. And again, you see we've doubled. We went from up 1 to up 2. So the next one's going to be 4 times as high, or excuse me, 2 times as high of 8, which is 2 times as much as 4, which is 8, sorry. So this is 2 to the 3rd power, which, like I just said, was going to be 8. So the ordered pair would be 3, 8. So the next would be 4, 16. And then 5 32s off the graph. So this is how we construct our exponential functions. It's going to look just like this. Now we also need to state the domain and the range. Well, the domain is how far left and right our function is going to go or can go. And in this case, like I said at the beginning, that would be all real numbers, because there is no limit to how much this is going to move. So this is all real numbers. The range is usually very easy to see visually. It's an easier recognition when we do the range. We can see this function is asymptoting at the value equal to 0. It's going to keep getting closer and closer to 0, but it's never going to touch 0. And the range is always a y value, so keep that in mind as you work today. It's a y value. So our y values are going to be limited from negatives and 0. So our range is going to be all y values greater than 0. I'm going to write this in a different notation that you may see, and this is just to get it familiar to you. You've probably seen these before on standardized testing. I'm going to explain what this is saying. Looks really fancy, but all it's saying is the variable we are using is y, and y is greater than 0. I prefer to get domain and range visually on these, but your domain is going, or excuse me, your range is going to be whatever value is being added to your function. In this case, that would be 0. That's why it's what it is. take a look at the next one. This next one I did an exponential decay, excuse me. Again, this one does not have an a value. We have a base of 1/4 and an a value of 1. So that means it's going to cross at 1. Now, if you wanted to create a table again, you could. We already know the 0 value is 1. 1 value, well, that would be 1/4 to a 1 power, which is 1/4. A little harder to graph here, so at 1, we'll be at 1/4. And what you're going to see is this is going to keep getting into smaller and smaller amounts and making it more and more difficult to graph. So this is 1/16. And this is what's happening is it's asymptoting. It's going to continually get closer to 0, but it's never going to actually touch 0. So you can see, like we talked about the decay the other day, it's going to get closer and closer to that line. I used the analogy of Ant-Man, you know, going into the quantum realm there. When he's going into the quantum realm, he's never going to not exist. He's going to be so small that nobody can see him. And it's insignificant, but it still can get a little smaller. So let's take a look at this real quick. That's wrong. We are starting at 1. This would be 1/4. So what we have to do now is graph. And we need to graph backwards. So we're going to move to the negative numbers. So if we were to plug this in, this would be 1/4 to the negative 1 power. Remember, negative powers have nothing to do with the sign. What they're basically saying is it is the inverse. So the inverse of 1/4 is 4/1. So the negative 1 value is 4. So there's negative 1, there's 4. And as we said with the other one, we are going to be quadrupling every time. So the next time we're going to quadruple as well. So 4 times 4 is 16. So we're going to be set up on the 16 when we move back to the negative 2. You can see this is a very drastic drop. And here's more proof of that. 1/4 to the negative 2 power. Well, that would be 1 to the negative 2 power is 1 in the denominator. And 4 to the negative 2 power is into the numerator, which makes 16. And then the next one will take us off the graph. So this is an exponential decay. It's crossing through 1 because it has no a value, and it has not been shifted. We'll talk about shifting later on, but as of now, that's all we're going to touch on today. Now the domain, again, all real numbers. You can try to write that fancy R. I'm so terrible at writing. You guys have all seen it. It's like an outline looking thing. So if you want to do your all real number symbol, that's fine. And this one also has a range of y where y is greater than 0. Not all the ranges will be that. We're going to kind of stick to the zeros today, but when we get to transformations, we'll talk about domains that are not 0. All right, I'm going to put 2 questions on the slides just so we're not hitting next over and over again. And as you can see on these, I've added an a value. Added an a value. So this is negative 2, which means our graph is going to cross at negative 2. And while we're doing that, let's just move over to the other one. Since the a value is 5, this one is going to cross at 5. Now this has a doubling feature, and it is exponential growth. It's exponential growth because the base value is 2. But something weird happens on this when it actually is going to go down. And the reason why it's going to go down is because the a value, negative 2, is negative. So that negative is going to cause it to go in a negative function, negative direction, excuse me. Now we can continue to create tables. You know, here's our x and y. X equal to 0. We can see what comes out of that. When I plug in 0 here, it ends up being negative 2 times 2 to the 0 power. So essentially negative 2 times 1, so that's negative 2, which we already knew. We can plug in the value 1. So Sorry, I'm not sure what just happened there. We can plug in the value 1. This would be negative 2 times 2 to the 1 power. So this is going to be negative 4. But again, it is a doubling exponential function. So once it was at negative 2, now it's going to be at negative 8. The next step, which would be 2, double negative 4 and you're at negative 8. Double negative 8, you're now at negative 16. So each step we're going to double it. I don't care whether you create a table like I've done, or if you get that doubling pattern, that's fine. That's completely up to you. But that's what that would look like. And we would also have the 1 in the back. If we backed up 1, let's just put negative 1 down here at the bottom. Negative 1, again, it's a 2 to 1 ratio. So if I back up 1, it's only going to go down 1. Half of that is 1/2, half of that is 1/4, 1/8, and then that's where that asymptote is taking place again. So our asymptote makes our graph look like this, with our domain of all real numbers and our range. In this case, you can see it's an upside down graph. It's been reflected. So our range is going to be y values where y is, in this case, less than 0. So the next one, we've already established it's going to go through 5. This is a 1/2 pattern. So this is a decay. So when I move right 1 step, it's going to decay or be half as large. So when I go right, instead of being at 5, it's going to now be at 2.5. Oh, I didn't mark 5. I marked 3. So let's mark 5. That would be helpful. So when we move to the right one, the ratio is 1/2. So that would be 2.5 is half of 5. Half of 2.5, 1 3/4. And then half of that, we're just going to continue to cut this thing in half. And you can see that this is going to be that decay behavior. So when we move left, we won't be cutting in half, we'll be doubling. So when we were at 5, when you double that, you're now at 10. Move another step, you're going to double to 10 and you will be at 20. So you can see this is what my graph looks like, with a domain of all real numbers. Again, hate to spoil it for you, but that's what it's going to be on exponentials. And a range of y values where y, in this case, is greater than 0, basically above the axis. And you'll have a lot of zeros today. Like I said, we're not doing transformations yet, so we're going to try to stay on our axis just like we are as much as we can. Last slide, but there are 2 questions on this. This one we're asked to write the function. Well, just remember this. For now, we have no transformation, so all we need is an a value and a b value. Remember, the a value is where it starts, and the b value is the rate that it's changing. Rate, ratio, however you want to state it. So this is really a 2-part question. So we're going to write our function. This one will be f of x. Let's identify where it starts. What is the 0 value? When x is equal to 0, what is our y value? In this case, that's 2. Which means our a value of our function is 2. and our base is going to be the change we see every time we move to the right. So when we move to the right from 0 to 1, we go from 2, and I just follow the line up till it hits, we go from 2 to 6. So that tripled. So if we take another step, if you triple 6, we should be at 18. Let's see if that's what the case is. We move over 1, we go up the line until we hit, there it is, 18, another times 3. So our base is going to be 3. So that's how we write a function. That's a growth function. They're a little easier than the decay functions. Sometimes the decay functions you have to work backwards, and that's probably going to be the case on this one as well. So let's look at this. We need a function. The a value is where it starts, so I just start at the origin and I follow down till it hits something. Looks to me like it's hitting -5. Now I need a base, which is the rate. How much is this changing? Like I said, when I move over 1, this is a kind of a lucky case in this one, because when I move over 1, it's at 2.5. So we went from 5 to 2.5, so that is a 1/2 ratio. A lot of times it's a fraction that you can't really tell. It's hard to tell 1/3 from 1/4. Or 1/3 from 2/5. So a lot of times what you have to do is do the reverse. So like move back to -1 and see where it hits. And you can see it hits at -10. So that is a 2-to-1 ratio, but it isn't decreasing, so it's a 1/2 ratio. So this one would have a base number of 1/2. And this should be true anywhere we go. Like if I back up another one, double -10 and you should be at -20, and there you go. So we're at 2.5 here. When we move over 1, half of that is 1.25. There you have that. Move back 1.75, and again it's just going to be cut in half, 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 and that's why they have the shape that they do. On these I'm not too worried about the domain and range, but the domain in these is all real numbers. The range for the first one is y values greater than 0, and the range for this one is y values less than 0. All right, you've got some examples to do on your own. They're very similar to these, just different values. So good luck with those. I'll be around. I'll help you when you need it.